Welcome back, The Collective Journey, episode 8. What do we got, Courtney?
This is actually episode 9.
9. All right.
Okay, can we talk about how Mercury is in retrograde?
Okay. What does that even mean? What the hell is even that?
I don't really know. I just know that it started on January 30th, and it's going to be in effect until February 20th.
What is it, though? Sounds like a horoscope.
It's like has to do with astrology. The planets are aligned in a certain way. As I speak, I'm like, somebody's gonna school me.
So what does that mean for us, Miss Cleo?
Apparently, like, a lot of weird things happen, like misunderstandings of all sorts. They say, like, just weird shit in the universe goes on. Which to me, I'm like, after I read about it, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, because they're like, expect cancellations and delays if you're traveling. Well, we can't even travel. So, I mean.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I mean, it might be true because we're in lockdown again, or our lockdown got extended for Europe. Once again, it's gonna go away February 14th, right?
So
and then
they
we'll
say.
see if they'll let us out, so that way we can travel, go to France or wherever.
Like have a life.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Apparently, a bunch of, like, weird things are supposed to happen. They say that you should back up your phone and your computer because things can go on the fritz during this time. They say double check your emails and text messages because, like, your mind might be off and you might misspell something or missay something. It even went into saying that you should carefully explain your intentions during this time and just to avoid confusion. So from what I take from it, right, because, like, I would say I'm, like, 20% like into this stuff, like not really, just a little bit, like you just dip your toe in the water out of curiosity. But a lot of weird shit's been happening since Mercury went into retrograde. Like,
It's a Gatorade.
Yeah, whatever. I can't sleep. I am not sleeping. I don't remember the last time I had a good night's sleep. And I do all the things that I'm supposed to do.
You got to take the melatonin gummies. That's what I take.
Well,
You know I'm big into that.
you are. But I like the lavender tea. And if you follow me on IG, I'm always like, the more lavender you add, the better.
I do. That does make me feel good. Makes me feel sleepy.
But the other thing was, like, my arm. So when I was pregnant, I had pregnancy carpal tunnel, which I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but apparently it's a thing, and it has not left. And it's gotten worse in the last couple weeks. Like, it'll be the middle of the day, and my arms are just, like, going numb. And
It's like bad circulation.
yeah, well, okay. So you're just trying to, like, tell me that
No,
I'm crazy.
I mean, no. Like, the weather over here has been crazy, right? It's crazy cold. It's snowing. My bones ache. I'm getting old, And then I'm not really running right now because it's too cold. I look outside and I'm like, nah, not gonna do it. I won't do it. A couple guys in my shop were like, let's do a Murph. And I was like, for those of you who don't know, like, a Murph is like run a mile, then, what is it? Like, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and then run another mile. And I was just like, nope, I'm gonna go home and
Eat McDonald's.
eat McDonald's today. Like, it's one of those days.
We just found out that McDonald's delivers to your house.
Don't be like me.
So it was super excited, which I think it's a terrible thing.
That's like my cheat meal. Yeah, it's horrible. It is horrible for you, but it's just one of those things. It's like a acceptable risk, I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to take this risk like once a month. That's fine. I'm cool with that.
So
Need balance, all right? I can't.
That's true.
I can't eat couscous and quinoa
And broccoli
and turkey and bison steaks every day. Like, it's just not going to happen.
I know. I'm just not a fan of McDonald's. So do you believe in Mercury in retrograde or not? Like, you're not really jumping on the bandwagon?
I think I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day, but I think obviously, right, like the moon does play into effect, or the planets or things outside of our solar system do play into effect on how it is that the natural world that we know, I guess, goes on, right? Like when you have a full moon, right, the tide goes crazy, right? Like for me, I used to fish, I used to crab, right? In Jersey, I used to go out to the shore and crab. And I used to catch a whole bunch of like crab like on a full moon, and that's like known, like because the tide goes crazy on those days. Animals go crazy on those days. Like they do things really outside their norm. So I can't help but think that we are a part of this planet, right? We are a being just like every other being on this planet, and I'm sure that goes into why it is maybe we maybe have like some sort of mood swing that day or something like that. I don't know. I could be wrong. Let me know, but I guess it's up for a debate. But I do know. I mean, I don't get crazy on like a full moon. I'm not over here trying to turn into like a werewolf or something like that. But a lot of people have told me like, man, I feel off on a full moon. So maybe I need to do some research, see where that whole silver spoon, red string on the stomach when you're pregnant, and all these like kind of superstitions, like how did those come to fruition? I don't know.
Well, how do you explain the GameStop hype? And can you break it down?
Can I break it down? All right. So pretty much the GameStop hype, right? A couple people, even my dad was like, he knows that I trade a lot. And I'm not one of those people that's like on my Instagram. I do trade a lot extensively, but I'm not like one of those people that you see on Instagram trying to get you in like their Forex pyramid scheme or something like that, So I try to just kind of mind my P's and Q's, or tell anybody anything about any sort of like trading advice, right? Because at the end of the day, like that's your money, that's not my money, and I'm not getting paid to manage that money. So like I'm not. And then everybody has like disclaimer, right? Everybody has a different strategy based on their personality, right? Like different strokes for different folks. For me, the GameStop stock was like a huge overinflation. I knew it was going to happen. People are like, oh, we're going to take down the hedge funds. And I'm like, man, that's not how it works. Yeah, maybe they might lose money, this hedge fund, but like you're not going to take down this hedge fund by this one stock that they have in their portfolio. Like they invest in like crazy amount of companies. Yeah, they lost money and they had to cover their shorts, but they're not going to come out losing. They're not. Like they're too big, honestly, to lose. Overhyped. In the end, you're going to see that. I feel like this is my 2 cents. You're going to see that stock price plummet, correct itself. People that invested in that stock that were like, I'm not pulling out to the moon, you're going to see them hang on to that stock and be overly greedy. And in the stock market, there's always a saying, right? It's like bulls make money, right? Bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. So I'm going to say, if you're up on GameStop, take your profits and go and invest into like a more stable stock. I'm not Elon Musk, and I can't influence people, but I know personally for me, I definitely didn't trade in that stock. I wasn't even something I was looking at because it's way too high of a risk for me. I mean, I already trade in Tesla, and that's already pretty risky. I feel like, but it's not for me.
There you go.
AMC goes with it, and I think like Dogecoin goes with it. So it's just, we'll see. I might rebuy, as I know there's going to be a couple of people that are dumb enough to overinflate the stock price again. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. It's been interesting seeing like all the people that think they're financial advisors and they're spouting out their advice via IG stories. And
that's why I'm like, I feel weird even talking about it because, I don't really like giving stock advice or anything like that.
You're a humble man.
Everybody, when that happened, everybody thought they were like Wolf of Wall Street. Like everybody knew because they were a thousandaire. Like everybody's a stock trader now. It's like, okay, chill. Like you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like chill, dude.
They said that AMC and GameStop was going to turn into Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Honestly, so they did acquire that VR company. So who knows? I think there might be some hope there, but definitely not. I don't think, definitely not that. It's totally overvalued. Totally overvalued.
Yeah.
So I guess I kind of went off on a tangent on the stock, but what about you? I guess today marks like 2 months of you actually being back from living in civilian world, and living a normal life to, I guess you never really live a normal life, right? But you're back in uniform. Give me a recap of your wild 2 months.
My wild 2 months. It's, like some days I feel like I never left active duty because you're active duty. I hear it all day, every day. And there's a lot that you forget. Like it's been 6 years and I'm not good with math. So, I may be like shortchanging that some since I've been in uniform. And there's all the things that you forget, like for women, like how the routine of like putting your hair up and making sure your bun's in check every single day, Monday through Friday. And then, putting the uniform back on. Those are small things, but like just when you're a civilian, the way that you conduct yourself in business, to me, it suits me better. I'm like, this is what I have to say, and that's that. And I'm just used to working in, with like senior leadership, I would say, for military people or like upper management for anyone who's not in the military. And, like it's very like fast paced, on your toes. They want a 5-second brief. You need to know what you're talking about. There's no BS. There's no being rank shy or like, excuse me, you just show the utmost respect, spit out what you got and get out the door. But being back in uniform, like you're not, and in the job I have right now, like I'm not in an office like that. And so it's like you have to remember to mind your P's and Q's in uniform, and you need to remember to, follow the rank structure. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And so I feel like, I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but I feel like the first couple of weeks I felt really lost, like at work. And I was like really worried or like being self-conscious of what I said and how I said it and who I spoke to and all the things that you're probably laughing because you're like, this is every day. And I'm like, this is not every day for me. Like, this is a big change, And I think my coworkers are probably like, what is wrong with her? But I'm like, this is not my norm. This is your norm. This is not my norm. And this hasn't been my norm in a long time. Because usually whenever I come in for like my training, they're like, oh, this reservist is here, with us. So like the way that they approach me, the way that I'm used to being approached is very differently. But now I feel like I'm in uniform. So they see me, they're like, we don't care that you're reservist or whatever. Like you're one of us now. And so I very much try to play into that, which I feel like reservists sometimes get a bad rep, like, if they're not pulling their weight. So I try not to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to be, I know what you're talking about.
I don't
so
want to be that guy.
For people that don't know, pretty much your weekend warrior type, your part-time military, right, that come in once a month, are usually typically viewed as not as up to speed as their active duty counterparts, so the people that come in all the time to work. But obviously that's just a stereotype, and that's not necessarily true, because I've met a lot of people that were a lot of reservists, right? Weekend warriors that, they really, really earn their keep when they are activated to a unit. So, yeah.
To me, I see it as a privilege. I'm like, this is a privilege for me to be here. Like, I'm not entitled.
Yeah, and you're overseas.
I'm overseas.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's one thing I did notice is that just it's such a different mindset, because you guys are like, this is my job. Like, this is my only job. And I'm like, my head's going in like 3 different directions. I'm like, school, job, civilian, or Air Force, civilian job. So it's just been interesting to like jump back in the game and be back in uniform and being called sergeant all day. You're like,
I got responsibilities, but like different responsibilities. Like, look after this like airman or this kid, this young kid that just joined the military, responsibilities. Yeah.
So I'll be doing this until we leave here.
Which, dang. So, yeah, that's going to come quick. Probably going to leave when, like, September, from here, from being overseas now for a good bit. With our son that was born here, and he was born in Germany, which is kind of crazy to me. I never thought that would happen. But now, this week, I think sometime this week, we should get a listing of where I'm going to be able to recruit out of, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Week? I think, they emailed me and they're like, because I was kind of hounding them. And I was like, where am I going? I need to know. And they're like, we'll send you a list. It's going to have like 100 different assignments, and you rack and stack them like 1 through 100. And I'm like, man, I'm not used to that. So it's going to be a lot of research, right? Quality of life, how much I can get for the best bang for my buck, pretty much, or our best bang for our buck, like quality of life, or how much the military is going to pay me to house my family, or how much I want to come out of pocket for that. And it's a lot of things I guess we're going to have to, I don't know, coordinate. It's going to be crazy, but I'm excited. What do you think?
Well, for one thing, this is our first time PCSing together.
Yeah. Because
we moved to Germany separately, and we weren't married at the time. I'm like, we're still not married now, but we'll be officially PCSing like as a military family come that time. I'm kind of nervous because I've never PCS before. Like I was, like as a military personnel. So, and then we're doing this as a family.
With the dog.
With the dog. The kid. We're overseas.
And like the 11-hour flight.
Yeah, and we're in the midst of COVID. We don't know what the world will be like come September.
I think it'll normalize. I know we're about to get the vaccine probably here in the next month. There's like a shortage and priority list and stuff like that. So I think I am next on the priority list. So we'll see. But yeah, all that is up in the air, and that is our life. So
it's kind of crazy because I have people who are like, when are you leaving? And why don't you know? And I'm like, honestly, I don't, you're so ready to find out.
I want to find out. I'm not ready to leave though.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need just a little bit more traveling. I missed this snowboard season, right? We were supposed to be in Switzerland, like snowboarding. That was like I was excited for that this year. I was really hyped, and that didn't happen. And then we got locked down to Germany, and I was like, there's hope. You could snowboard in Germany. Nope. They were like, no, you stay in your town. Stay put. And I was like, man, dang it. I guess I can go sledding.
That's as good as it's going to get. No, but sometimes I wonder, if we have any military spouses who are listening and, what their point of view is, because I find a lot of comfort in not knowing where we're going to go next. I'm like, we're here now, and it sounds like a PCS is going to be a pain in my ass, and kind of nervous because we're going to be starting all over. I mean, it's all the things. It's exciting, and we're going to be back in the States, but I'm kind of nervous to PCS because I've been listening to other people's PCS stories. So a PCS is when you move back to the States. They call it a permit change of station.
Or overseas.
So people like we're saying that are leaving right now from Germany to go back to the States, that, you know, some things have been delayed and it's been a lot of extra paperwork.
Yeah, you got to get a test. You got to quarantine. Obviously, quarantining with, you know, a family, the kid, the dog. To me, I've seen other families do it, and every time that they do it, I'm like, man, I don't know how you guys are surviving in that hotel room, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. It's going to be very interesting. We'll see what we get. A lot of people ask, like, where do you want to go? And, what do you think are the chances of coming here? So we'll see. Have you read anything good lately? Because you always have me like talking about on here, like about my.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because I'm like, you always have me talking about like my daily journal or journaling, like the books I've been reading. You put me on the spot a couple episodes ago, and I was like, I wasn't prepared to speak on this. So now I'm going to put you on the spot. Have you read anything lately? What was the last thing you read?
A lot of emails. That's the last thing I read. No, honestly, the last real thing that I read, and I feel like it's kind of trending right now. I've seen a couple people buy the book. Was David Goggins' "You Can't Hurt Me." That book is amazing. Like his life story is like amazing. It's like about Air Force, kind of special forces guy, got out. His life was falling apart after the Air Force, right? You know, you come from like a very structured life, and, you know, you go into regular world, and sometimes it's really hard to adjust. So anyway, he ended up and he had like a really rough, you know, childhood, like an abusive father, all sorts of things. And like, anyway, he ends up like becoming like 300-400 pounds or something like that. And he kind of takes ownership of his life, joins as a Navy SEAL, fills out of it like 2-3 times, or has to redo BUDS, right? Which is like the Navy SEAL kind of like pass course. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if anybody's done any research on that. Like that in itself is crazy, and to do it, you know, 2-3 more times than what you need to do it is almost insane. So it kind of like chronicles his life and what he was thinking at the time, and how he kind of took ownership, almost like extreme ownership of his life, and made a change for the better. And then after that, like so it goes into those trials and tribulations, and then it goes into like, he's an ultra marathon runner right now, and like his first ultra marathon, and a lot of like mind over matter type stuff. And I don't know, it's a really good book, but I didn't read the audiobook, but I listened to the audio book, and I think that's way better. Like, I'm sure the book in itself, reading it, like something to reference, is like great, but the audiobook like has a breakdown of pretty much in between every chapter a podcast, and they talk about what David Goggins was feeling at the time, like through every area of his life when he's talking about it. And it's actually not narrated by himself, like it's narrated by this other guy, because he thought it was going to be a little bit narcissistic to like boast about his life or talk about his accomplishments or this or that. And he has some other guy narrate it for that reason, mm-hmm. and then come in and kind of talk about the podcast. I think he did it right. It's like a I don't know, it's like a 16-hour podcast audiobook thing. I think it's like the first one that's ever been done before. So I really enjoyed it. I was like, during our run challenge, right? I was listening to it as I was running, and I'd be like mile 8, and I'd be like, man, and he'd start talking about like things that he was going through, maybe Navy SEAL training or stuff like that, and it was just like fueling the fire, And he has like some catchphrases in his book that kind of like I say now. But he's like, callous your mind. So I always joke about that with me and my friends about callousing my mind and stuff like that. So, yeah. But it's weird because now I feel like I've been following him for a good bit. And now I feel like more people outside the military, because he's a special forces guy, and like, us within the military, we kind of pull he's like an idol in the in the military, right? Like military culture and stuff like that. So to me and my group of friends or coworkers, like we know who he is, but now it's kind of cool seeing him kind of really, really break into like the mainstream, and, civilian people kind of break into like who David Goggins is and stuff like that. I got a guy, an airman in my shop. He was going to be a pararescue man, right? They didn't select him for whatever reason, but his instructor in the book, which is crazy. This guy, he like falls 1,000 feet out in the air, or he jumps out of a plane, and his parachute doesn't deploy. He ends up like falling, hitting the ground, right? And the guy that resuscitates him, he has some SEALs, right, that he's doing training with. Like he hits the ground, like out of the plane, doesn't deploy the parachute. They have to like trach him, right? They have to cut open his throat for him to breathe, right? I guess like that was his instructor going through his training, and he knew David Goggins and stuff like that. So I was just like, damn, that's pretty cool. Like the world is small, So
very true.
But yeah, cool that he's like making a huge change of people that wouldn't normally listen to him, because I always kind of thought he was a little extreme, but hey, you need that in a time like this.
I think he is pretty extreme, but you're right. In a time like this, definitely. And when you started talking about him, like, I'm not even going to like, try to get on here and like tell some lies. Like I had no idea who David Goggins was. So good for everybody who's like, I can't believe, I guess what Rosie said the other day, I do live under a rock. But when you started talking about his story, I was like, wow, his story is like one of those stories that I would say that if you had a rough childhood growing up, then it like gives you hope, Yeah,
it's very relatable.
Yeah.
I know I went off like on a tangent. I'm always going off on tangents, but I know I went off on the tangent on his book, but the book is like extremely relatable if you've gone through anything sort of adversity in your life, and it's really inspiring.
Just to know that, because I feel like kids who grew up like him, they're told like, you're not shit, you ain't gonna be shit, yeah,
his dad used to tell him that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very easy to fall into a pattern of, like mental abuse and think that's your reality. And so to me, I like it because it's like if he, one valuable thing I learned last year was that, when you see other people striding and like making huge, things happen, it's like, it's not for you to, be like, oh, it can't be me. It's for you to be like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. So I think, for him to be a male representative, that's a good thing. Because I think of a lot of men who grow up in, like we talk about the toxic masculinity, and then you grow up in an environment like that where you're mentally abused or verbally abused, and then you start to play into that. So I think he has an incredible story, and I've yet to listen to it on Audible, but it's on my list.
It's good.
I saw it trending, and I was like, One of those
recommend.
reminders.
Yeah, highly recommend. Honestly, hopefully I'm like he'll come to like a base or something like that, or I'm able to meet him or something. But
Or we'll just like have him on our podcast. I mean, you can only dream.
He's pretty intense guy. Yeah.
So, can we talk about your Oculus?
The Oculus, man.
Can you tell us about this virtual reality
So
game?
yeah, I bought it for Christmas. It's a virtual reality, like,
AKA he bought it for himself for Christmas.
yeah, it's intense. So it's like completely immersive. I think I had you put it on, and you were like, it's really, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of hard to disseminate reality from it. I played like a couple games on it and did like a couple like tours of like different locations that I've always wanted to go. And it really, really feels like you're there because you're able to walk around, like you make a boundary, and then within that boundary, you're able to like take a tour of the pyramids or something like that. And you're able to walk around, and it is crazy. I think I was really impressed. I'm not impressed by a lot, but I was like extremely impressed with this device. I feel like it's really advanced. I think it's going to change the way we do everything. Like, I was watching like Netflix on it. I felt like I was in a movie theater, and it was kind of crazy. And you're able, at least during COVID, the social aspect of it is pretty good. Like, you're able to interact with people. Like, you can watch movies together. You can go to like live concerts together.
But wait, do you see like real people?
Yeah, you see real people. Like, they pretty much like have a.
Do they have Oculuses on too?
No, they're in the concert.
Oh,
they're in the concert, and you're like one of the fans in the concert, and you're able to watch the concert and like turn around and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird. There's other people that are watching it with you, like in a VIP section, and you can interact with them. Other people that have that on the Oculus, but it was crazy. Like, you can watch like a baseball game or a football game or something like that and be courtside, and it really feels like you're there. So I was mind blown. I told you, I was like mind blown for a while. And you can even like telework on the Oculus. Like, you can go into an office, write on sticky notes, and like interact with other people.
What sticky notes?
Like in your virtual reality, like you can pull up a sticky pad, write on it, and post it on the wall.
What?
Yeah, and other people are on the whiteboard, and you could like pull up like documents from your computer and like upload them.
What would that be like for a job that's, like what do you call it? Like, has sensitive information or maybe more confidential?
Well, I'm sure they're going to develop some sort of security thing, or there's codes, or I don't know. I'm not a big tech guy, but I'm somewhat a techie, but
an amateur.
Yeah, but I know that this is like the future, like crazy impressed. I think I sound so stupid, but I created a world, right? Like, you could like draw a world, right? I was like making mountains and like chairs and different things in my world, and it was like really weird because it was like salt flats, and then you go into I don't know, but
He likes his toy.
yeah, I like my toy. But honestly, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of like Elon Musk Neuralink, where you like pretty much communicate through your mind. With this like device, and you're able to, I guess, like pretty much like have a increase like your computing, I guess, speed of your mind.
Like a computer.
Yeah, because like your phone, right, is pretty much an extension of your mind at this point. Like, I feel like humans are really reliant on it, right? You're like, you have like a symbiotic relationship with this phone, and
What
it's
does
just like
symbiotic mean?
it's like you live with it, like,
Oh, okay.
Like I think like an animal adaptation is like the hippo, and then like the little bird that lands on the hippo and like cleans the hippo. Like, it's a part of like their relationship. Like, the hippo needs the bird to keep it clean, and like take off all the parasites from it and stuff like that. So it's like a codependent relationship. So pretty much it's like the same thing. And, you know, for me, I'm like, oh, I don't know this. Let me Google it. I don't know this. Let me Google it. Let me take a little note. So it's like, he's talked about it and he's like, we're already there. But with this VR headset, I feel like it's gonna, we're just that much closer to pretty much having computers in your brain. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds super crazy, but
and you're gonna make comments about me talking about Mercury in retrograde.
In Gatorade, yeah. Yeah, I guess that does sound crazy. But believe it, you heard it here now. VR headsets are just the first step in how we socialize, and it's going to become more and more normal. You know, I think 20 years, like Facebook and things like that, people wouldn't have thought to communicate in that fashion. They're like, oh, those people are really disconnected from reality. But I think VR headsets are going to be the next step in socializing. And it's also owned by like Facebook or something like that. Facebook plays a huge part in the Oculus. So that tells me that they see it in that fashion too. So I don't know.
You think like Facebook owns like part of the world?
Well, they own all your information. No,
that's true.
Yeah, I think, we're very codependent on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. Like, it's very influential. They influenced our election, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's where we get our news. That is the newspaper. It is the 2020-21 newspaper of today. I think the time where I really, really realized, like, oh, man, we're there and there's no looking back. I think, like, Time Magazine or something like that, or Life Magazine, one of them, they published their last publication, and they're like, this is going to be our last publication. Like, it's not going to go away, but we're going to shift into only doing digital content. And I was like really shooken up about that, because I used to buy the covers of like this magazine all the time, you know, or look forward to like owning like a commemorative edition of whatever like they were gonna put out. And I was just like, man, this is crazy. Like, kids today aren't gonna know what it's like. It's become a thing in the past, honestly. And the more and more that we shift as a society in this direction, the more and more we're gonna look back at it and we're gonna be like, how did we ever live life like that, you know? So
I'm speechless.
I'm sorry.
It makes me feel a little weird. I don't know. You guys, let us know, like, do you believe in Mercury in retrograde?
Stop.
Do you do you own an Oculus? I mean, hit us with what's going on with you guys. Are you in quarantine like us? That's what we got for you today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We love to hear what you guys think. What?
I would say support your friends. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we hope you guys are having a great week, and we will catch you guys next week. Courtney and Abe signing out. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.